Have you ever watched a thought arise and wondered who invited it? Have you ever tried to stop thinking only to discover that thoughts keep appearing like unannounced guests? And if you look very closely, is there truly a thinker manufacturing each thought, or are thoughts simply happening, like sounds in the wind? These questions are not philosophical ornaments. They strike at the very root of what you call me. Because if what you assume to be your thoughts are not actually authored by a personal thinker, then the identity built around them begins to tremble. A seeker once came before Ramana Maharshi with a restlessness many of us carry silently. He said, "Master, my thoughts disturb me. They pull me into fear, memory, and imagination. I try to control them, but they return stronger. How do I stop my thoughts?" Maharshi listened, not to the words alone, but to the assumption hidden inside them. The assumption was this: these thoughts are mine, and it is precisely this unnoticed claim that he gently dissolved. He asked the seeker, "First tell me, to whom do these thoughts arise?" The seeker hesitated. "To me, of course." And Maharshi replied, "Then find this me first. If the thinker is known, the thoughts will reveal their nature." This was not an evasion. It was surgical precision. Maharshi was pointing to a simple but radical fact. Before you attempt to manage thoughts, you must investigate the identity, claiming ownership over them. Why did he say this? Because the disturbance is not in thoughts themselves. It is in the misidentification. Thoughts are movements in consciousness, spontaneous and impersonal. The suffering begins the moment a thought is stamped with ownership. This is my fear, my desire, my problem. Notice what happens psychologically. A neutral mental event becomes a personal burden. Maharshi saw clearly that the mind's chaos is sustained not by the existence of thoughts, but by the illusion of a thinker. The seeker pressed further. "But Master, thoughts feel intimate. They speak in my voice. They refer to my life. How can they not be mine?" Maharshi's teaching cuts through this confusion with startling simplicity. A thought appearing in your awareness does not prove authorship. Just as hearing a bird does not mean you created its song. The sense of ownership is itself another thought, arising after the fact and claiming authority. If you observe closely, thoughts arrive unannounced. You do not schedule them. You do not preview them. You often don't even approve of them. Yet they appear. So where is the thinker? The seeker objected, "If thoughts are not mine, am I helpless? Should I just let them run wild?" Here Maharshi's compassion becomes luminous. He was not advocating passivity. He was inviting clarity. He pointed out that trying to control thoughts without knowing the thinker is like rearranging shadows while ignoring the light that casts them. When you turn attention toward the one who says, "My thoughts," something extraordinary happens. The supposed thinker is not found as an entity, only a sensation of I, itself observed. And when the observer is recognized as prior to thought, thoughts lose their tyranny. This is why Maharshi insisted on self-inquiry, not as a technique to suppress thinking, but as a revelation that thoughts arise in you, but they do not define you. The seeker asked, "Then who am I, if not the thinker?" Maharshi's silence often answered more than words. But when he spoke, His meaning was unmistakable. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear and disappear. Awareness does not think. It illumines thinking. Just as the sky does not produce clouds, yet allows them, your nature allows thoughts without being bound by them. Consider the practical implication. A troubling thought arises, I will fail. Normally, identity fuses with it. Fear escalates. But when seen as an impersonal appearance, the thought becomes a passing ripple. Awareness remains untouched. The seeker grew quiet. So the problem was never the thought, but my belief that it was me. Exactly. Maharshi's insight dismantles the psychological knot at its root. You do not need to win a war against thinking. You need to see clearly that the warrior you imagined, the thinker, is itself a thought. And this recognition does not create indifference. On the contrary, it frees intelligence. Without personal ownership distorting perception, thoughts become tools rather than masters. They serve practical functioning, but cannot imprison identity. The seeker's final doubt surfaced. Will thoughts ever stop completely? Maharshi's response carried profound reassurance. The goal is not the annihilation of thought. It is freedom from false identification. Whether thoughts are many or few becomes irrelevant when their impersonal nature is understood. Silence is not the absence of thinking. It is the absence of misidentification. And here lies the transformative heart of his teaching. When you cease claiming thoughts as personal property, the mind relaxes. Thoughts lose their compulsive force. They become like echoes in a vast chamber, heard but not binding. So, when Maharshi implied that your thoughts are not yours, he was not making a metaphysical claim. He was offering liberation disguised as observation. He was inviting you to discover that what you truly are is prior to every mental movement. Right now, a thought may be forming about these words. Watch it arise. Did you create it or did it appear? And more importantly, what is aware of its appearance? Rest there. That awareness is untouched by every thought that ever comes or goes. And in recognizing this, the seeker's burden dissolves. Not because thoughts vanish, but because the illusion of ownership does. And in that clear seeing, what remains is not emptiness, but a quiet, luminous freedom in which thinking becomes just another passing wave, never again mistaken for the ocean itself.